is not a glamorous job. There's not a lot of glory. News, spoiler alert, it always breaks after 6 p.m. on a Friday. We spend hours covering long government meetings. One time, a Sentinel reporter ordered Uber Eats at an all-day meeting. We drink way too much coffee. We do not do this job for recognition, and we certainly do not do it for the money. Let me tell you. We do this because we love journalism. We expose corruption. We are the watchdogs of our community. During the past year, our job has never been more important. We're telling information to the public. We want to tell the deeper stories of the people and the places and the businesses of Central Florida that nobody else is telling. And for the past 2 years, we have faithfully done our jobs while we've been under threat of Alden Global Capital. Yes. Local journalism is under attack. Alden is trying to take over the Orlando Sentinel and the other newspapers in Tribune Publishing. Getting bought by Alden is the worst possible outcome for us. Ooh. This hedge fund is known for gutting newspapers until they are nothing but a shell of what they once were. Tribune leaders have said Alden's goal is to make 20% or more profit margins. Do not get me wrong, Orlando Sentinel and Tribune Publishing are profitable. But to make those kinds of profit margins, that means there is not much left to cut except the people remaining there working. So that's why we are here today. We are begging Tribune shareholders to vote no on the Alden deal on May 21st. And we're also making our plea to our community. We need civic-minded local owners who are willing to invest in us. Orlando deserves and needs a healthy, vibrant newspaper. Central Florida needs the Orlando Sentinel. So I just want to thank you all for being here today and showing your support for the Orlando Sentinel and our mission to keep you all informed. So to kick off our rally, it is my pleasure to introduce the face of the Orlando Sentinel, news columnist Scott Maxwell.
Thank you, Gabby, and thank all of you guys for being here today. My job today is sort of represent the perspective of the old farts at the paper because I came here 23 years ago. When I came here, I had no children. Now both are in college. I have a lot more gray hair and a few more pounds. But when I came here, I came to a newsroom that had hundreds of people. Today we have closer to 70. When I came to the Orlando Sentinel, we had 12 different bureaus, not just throughout Central Florida, in Atlanta, in Puerto Rico, in San Juan. Today we have one in Tallahassee. And this is the result of Wall Street putting profits over journalism. And I don't say that as some kind of Pollyanna who doesn't understand. That wouldn't work well. I write, I do not talk. I don't say that as some kind of Pollyanna who doesn't understand finances and who doesn't understand corporations. We need to make money, but as Gabby said, we do. That is one of the things that I think is the least understood and underappreciated about the Orlando Sentinel. We post profits, double-digit profit margins every single year, even in the pandemic. It is just never enough for Wall Street, and it sure as shit won't be enough for a hedge fund. So, one of the things I think most of you understand, and thank you so much for being here, is that everyone in this community benefits by having a strong local newspaper. You know, much of America is busy screaming about Donald Trump or Joe Biden. That is not why all of my dedicated colleagues get up every morning and come to the office, or what's left of our office. They get up to cover City Hall, to cover planning and zoning meetings, to cover school boards, things that most other media ignore. Places where bad things happen when there is not a sentinel. The journalists of the Sentinel are part of this community. They have kids, they have homes, they believe in covering small businesses, nonprofits, and high school sports. There is somebody standing in this crowd that covers every one of those things for us. They provide something more than Yelp reviews and rants on Nextdoor. They provide consistent coverage of the issues that affect the lives of everyone who lives here. We are the ones who expose scandals at the Expressway Authority, at the Orlando Airport, at the blood bank, for those of you who remember that. We were the ones covering Joel Greenberg before the national media and even the feds got involved. We are the ones who make bad guys nervous.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, as Gabby suggested, most of us could make a lot more money doing something else. But we have stayed, refusing one buyout offer after another. I think I have passed up about 7 of them so far, because we believe in local journalism, because we care about this community. I have been talking with local philanthropists and business leaders who believe in the same thing. They are a mix of conservatives and liberals. They vote for and cut checks to Republicans and Democrats. They know that the need for a robust local newspaper transcends party politics, and they are ready to put their money up to keep the Orlando Sentinel based in Orlando. I hope that the Tribune board members honor that. Sure, take your stock dividends and your payouts, but if an offer from people who live in this community, who are ready to put their money up to keep this paper in our community, comes up, and it has already, I sure hope they will take it. These board members theoretically took an oath not just to make money, but also to journalism. It's an oath that should also be important to community and to democracy. We want to ensure that the Orlando Sentinel does what our name says, continues standing guard. Thank you all for coming here. It really does my heart well to see everybody here.
I'm looking out across this crowd and I see everyday residents of Orlando. I see activists who are fighting for the issues that they care about. I certainly see journalists and members of the guilds. I actually don't think I can think of a single journalist at the Orlando Sentinel who has not interviewed me. And whether you caught me on a good day or whether you caught me on a bad day, at the end of the day, you helped tell the truth in the story of the Orlando community. And we need to preserve that. We need to save that, because there is so much happening in Central Florida that the Orlando Sentinel has been talking about and telling our residents about. Thinking about it first from the Tallahassee perspective, I remember just last year when the Orlando Sentinel, when many journalists who are standing with us here today exposed the discrimination happening at voucher-funded private schools against LGBTQ students. We saw journalists like Scott, like Annie, like many, many others who were involved in uncovering the fact that using taxpayer dollars, private schools were able to tell LGBTQ students that they were not allowed to be enrolled in their school, and if they said the words, "I am gay" or "I am trans," they would be expelled from the private school using taxpayer dollars. The Orlando Sentinel helped expose that problem. And at the end of the day, while we're still fighting to pass legislation to prohibit that, behind the scenes, many private schools cleaned up their act because they were worried about getting a call from the Sentinel exposing them too. Just a few weeks ago, the journalists at the Orlando Sentinel looked through their receipts from the 2020 campaign cycle, and they held politicians on both sides accountable for their promises to fix our broken unemployment system.
Oh, wow.
Just last year, I think it was, the Sentinel was part of a sweeping expose of what happens to our labor force in Central Florida. Those who are employed by the tourism industry, low-wage workers who work for theme parks, hotels, restaurants in our low-wage economy, and are struggling to secure or use public transportation. They were struggling to find health care. They were struggling to secure affordable housing. And this was the Labor Land series that really helped even push elected officials from right here in Central Florida finally start to push back on the big moneyed tourism corporate interests that keep our workers in perpetual despair. That's thanks to the Orlando Sentinel's reporting.
Today with our Sentinel Guild, I apologize for my delay. I was just in Paramore picking up trash, and now we're here picking up the trash and kick Alden out of the Orlando Sentinel. I am so proud to serve this community in the state legislature, and I'm proud to stand with the free press because, as Representative Smith already outlined, we need reporters, we need the newspapers, we need all of you to hold us accountable to what we said we were going to do.
Yes.
Without a free press, there is no democracy. Without a free press, the work that happens in Tallahassee literally happens in backroom doors.
Yes.
I was just at another event, like I said, talking to one of my constituents, and she was expressing to me outrage about what's happening in Tallahassee. And with everything she said, in my head I thought, the Sentinel wrote about that, the Sentinel wrote about that, the Sentinel wrote about that. That's demonstrating the incredible impact of the written word. And I think it also needs to be stressed how every other media outlet relies on the Orlando Sentinel.
True.
Channel 9, Channel 6, Channel 2. Where do you think they get their headlines from? Every morning they pick up the paper just like we do, and they're looking for the top stories. And the top stories are written by the journalists right here, right in front of us. And so this isn't just about one paper, y'all. This is about an ecosystem. This is about an ecosystem of transparency. An ecosystem that holds the powerful accountable, that tells the stories of the most marginalized. I don't think we would have gotten a $15 minimum wage in this state if it wasn't for papers like the Sentinel telling the stories of community struggle.
Yep.
We wouldn't know about the gentrification happening in communities like Paramore if it wasn't for reporters on the ground telling those stories.
Yep.
We wouldn't know about the affordable housing crisis and the corporate greed that determines the outcome of politicians every single day if it wasn't for the Sentinel. Hell, I wouldn't know about tax policy if it wasn't for the Sentinel. And so we have to be united in this work together. We have to push back against corporate greed taking over our paper. And whatever it takes, y'all, we have to be committed to do it. And if that means putting our own money down, if that means telling our friends and family to get more involved, we have to make sure that this work doesn't just stop here, but that it starts here. And so with that, I just want to give a thank you to our journalists who are paving the way, inspiring us to be brave and be bold. It was not easy for them to unionize. It was a fight to get it done. And the fact that we are all standing here today in solidarity for a free press, for a functioning, working democracy that calls out the fake news with real news, it is sacred that we protect this newspaper. Thank you so much.
Get out there, I had to work.
Crystal ball.
Crystal ball. Crystal ball. Crystal ball. Crystal ball. Crystal ball. Crystal ball. Crystal ball. Crystal ball. Crystal ball. Crystal ball.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are kind of quiet. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna organize this a little bit because I kind of hear like weird chants, like partly because of my name and partly because I don't know what Gab was saying, but anyway. So on the count of 3, we're gonna say save local news. 1, 2, 3.
Save local news!
One more time, save local news!
Save local news!
I can't hear it, say local news!
Save local news!
So one of the main reasons why I like being at the Orlando Sentinel, for one thing, is because I get to be with people every single day that I respect, people whose work inspires me, people whose work that I can see working in the community. And so for Alden to be coming in and trying to destroy all of that, we all know their reputation, we know what they're about. It's a bunch of shit.
Nicely put.
Come on, people.
Nicely put.
Didn't expect this to be a tough crowd. But anyway. The problem with a lot of these things, too, is that hedge funds like Alden, they threaten to destroy our character. They threaten to destroy just really,
I adore and worship Almighty God, eternal Father, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Read the Bible, go to church, believe in marriage between one man and one woman.
Okay, you can
Anyway.
take that on down the road.
Okay, so let's get a Save Local News chat going. Let's go. Save Local News!
Save local news! Save local news! Save local news! Save local news! Save local news!
And local news is worth saving.
Yes! Save local news! Save local news!
Save him. Not ready.
Save local news!
So I kind of ran out of things to say, but here's Andy.
Thank you all so much for being here today. It means so much to us, and see a lot of community members and Sentinel alumni, and it's just, it's really great to see everybody.